Hey everyone, welcome to this month's Connect and Serve with Hives for Heroes. We're bringing together our national network of veterans, first responders, beekeepers, and supporters for an hour of learning, growing, and leading together. I'm Steve, and I'm so glad that you are here. Whether you're tuning in for the first time or you've been with us from the beginning, we are stronger because of you. At Hives for Heroes, our mission is simple but powerful: to connect our nation's heroes to beekeeping. We do this through the powerful practice of beekeeping, community mentorship, and meaningful relationships across the country, allowing us to once again serve our nation. We want to thank our incredible members, leaders, and all of our partners and sponsors who make this work possible. Your support allows us to keep growing, serving, and leading together. We got spring here. Spring is here. It is springtime. Bees are on the move, flowers are blooming, and beekeepers are busy. If you're out there beekeeping, you know what I'm talking about. This is the time to check for swarm signs, evaluate colony strength, and get ahead of Varroa. So in that spring tip, get in your hives early and often. Catch problems before they start. Prevention is always better than reaction. Also, we want to see what you're up to. If you have spring pictures of your hives, bees, gardens, or community events, send them to Kate at social@hivesforheroes.org or drop them into the Hives for Heroes Facebook group page. We'd love to honor your work and share it with our community. All right, today we are honored to welcome a very special guest, Mr. Jim Hopkins from Delaware. Jim is a mentor, educator, and innovator in the beekeeping world. He's working on queen grafting, queen breeding, and researching VHS, Varroa-resistant hyperallergenic sensitive bees. That's a mouthful. Jim, thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. Man, thank you so much for being a part of this organization. You've been a mentor and stepped up in Delaware for years at this point. So, like softball questions, how did you first get involved in beekeeping?
COVID. I had just retired and I was pretty bored, so I started watching YouTube videos. I said, I can do that. And I really started looking at horizontal hives and that whole theory with lay-ins. And I built my first hive, built the frames, got a package of bees, and I did well. In fact, I split it 3 times that season.
Wow.
Overwintered all 3. And I was going into the fall of my first season, and I did a gut check. I'm like, okay, do I want to be a hobbyist or do I want to geek out on this? And I went for the geek thing. So rather than go just for anecdotal learning, I enrolled at the University of Florida's Master Beekeeping Program and started down that road, did the advanced beekeeper part of it. But as I got into all that, I got interested in queen rearing and grafting queens. So I'm, I'm, I'm a freak. I grafted queens in my first year keeping bees, and they lived, and I made my own. And then I started thinking, man, I really need a mentor. I can't keep doing this by myself. I read white papers, I watched YouTube videos, I asked a lot of questions, and happenstance, I was working with a girl in the local bee club that was having some trouble, and I was doing an inspection with her. And she had the most beautiful, fat little queen. So where'd you get this queen? And she told me. I said, well, who's he? David Cook. So she put me in touch with David, and I drove up to Dover, which is about an hour from where I live. He lives right by Dover Air Force Base and has a family-operated place there. And I got there about 8:30, 8:45 in the morning, and we started talking about bees. And we took a couple bio breaks, drank a little bit of water here and there. But about 4:45, about 4:45, we both went, oh shit, it's almost 5 o'clock. We talked about theory. We talked about the books we had read. We talked about his line of bees that he's been running for 30 years. He does not treat. It's just amazing what it's been able to do. And he and I worked together setting up a program with Delaware Beekeepers Association, giving free bees away, free queens. And that did well. So that was my start, really, was, okay, now I've got a mentor. And I got to tell you, I thought I was a geek. Yeah. It was like the two of us were like kindred spirits. And we'll chat about watching color variation in his. And as they get darker, it's harder for him to find them, and they get a little hotter. So he likes to work towards a little bit lighter. And he started out with Caucasians and Carniolas, basically midnights. That's where he started. So he has what we call mountain bees that he's then localized. And if they swarm, they swarm. If they don't, they don't. But he does not treat.
Yeah.
I have different theories along that line because I've gone more on the Varroa Sensitive Hygiene side. Once I discovered what that allele did with the behavior of the bees, I really got into that. So I use several breeders that do instrumentally inseminated. One of them is Adam Finkelstein at VP Queen Bees in South Carolina. I use Jason Bragg at Appalachian Queen Bees in West Virginia. And I use John Jacob with Old Soul in Oregon. John's got Caucasians. I get Buckfast from West Virginia, and I get the Spartan line, which are Carnies-ish from VP. So what I do is I hybridize them. So I have my own line I call bottom corner bees, because Delaware is shaped like this, and I live in the bottom corner. So I have bottom corner bees. And they're very prolific. And then I have some of Corey Stevens. I got some of his virgins in last year, and they open mated here. So I've got that flying around in my apiary. And I also have some of Joe Latshaw stuff. So I have 5 different sources for II plus what I do. So what I'm trying to do is put the Varroa sensitive allele out there. So not only do my queens then reproduce workers that have those characteristics with grooming, allo grooming and auto grooming, and also cleaning out the cells, but they're also out inoculating the feral bees in the area. And I've got a closed system. I'm on about 150 acres on a sanctuary right now that's just all wildflowers, and it's right by a good-sized creek, and I'm protected back there. It's by the woods, it's big open fields, and I'll run about 80 hives a year back there.
80 hives. Oh, wow.
80 hives. I have this theory that if you hit 100 hives, you're crazy. So as long as I stay under 100, I'm not crazy. I'm just like 80% crazy.
I mean, it's crazy to hear. For me, is that one connection point turned this into your life, which is pretty incredible to find a mentor in 1 to 2 connections, in which now you are in the place that you're doing now. Your 80 hives. I mean, you clearly have some views on how you work through this. What's the book?
Honey Farming, R-O-B, not Rob, R-O-B Manley. Circa early 1900s through World War II. The first part of the book deals with equipment, and that's kind of moot these days. But this teaches you how to farm bees, to grow bees, not to keep bees.
Yes, there's a difference you mentioned before.
Keeping bees is something that is idle. You're neutral. But growing bees is activity. It's a difference between taking a hive that you want to split and dividing it in 2. That's beekeeping. I'm going to take that hive that's ready to split, and if I've got 10 frames of brood in there, I've got 5 nukes now.
So she got to show you, what does that look like?
Exactly. So you can then take those nukes, and they will make their own queen, and they will go out and fly around, and they will make another colony. But I like to always use F1, the first generation from those II queens I get from those providers. So everything that's flying in my yard is an F1. So granddaddy was the males, because obviously the females are fertilized and the males aren't. But if I'm flying my drones out there and I want them to cross, I want it to be pure stock. I want thoroughbreds flying around out there. So I know when the F1s mate with the F1s, I haven't watered down the genetics.
Yeah.
And when somebody gets a nuke from me, they're getting an F1 nuke, and they slam, and they have all the characteristics you're looking for. Now they'll go F2 when they do their splits. It's diluted some, but not nearly what you'll get if you're using feral bees. And they can always come back to me, and I'm pretty generous about letting them learn to graft with me and taking queens home with them.
Yeah, I mean, you've been a tremendous support for those that are in your area. Can you share a little bit about your newbie and your experience here at Hives for Heroes with how y'all have connected and grown
Yeah,
tremendously?
so I have a newbie that actually we're going into our second year. He's a state police officer, and his schedule doesn't allow him to spend as much time with me as he probably should have the first year because he does 12 to 8, 8 to 4, 4 to 12. So we're going in our second year now, but he has his own hives. Um, I spent 4 hours with him Sunday, and he was really tenuous about splitting hives. So I just tucked him in my back pocket and said, come on. So that day we made 6 nukes. I did 2 brood boxes. And by that, I mean, if you're familiar with Michael Palmer, the way he does, he'll take a 10 frame hive and he'll do 2 4 or 5 frame nukes in that box. There's a divider in the center. And as they grow, he'll put a nuke on top of each side. And he'll put frames in there from the growth food. So he's growing them up vertically. Instead of filling a 10 frame box, he's doing 5, 5, 5, 5. Now, you can overwinter those. And the neat thing is, like in a 10 frame box where you get the orb, you'll still get that, but it's half an orb on one side and half an orb on the other.
Oh,
It's
wow.
wild. It is.
That's
And they
really,
overwinter very well. But the reason it works so well is that is a resource hive. So if I want to make some new nukes, if I want to augment a box that's not doing so well, I
right.
can go to that and pull out frames of brood, put them in, and I just knock it down one box and keep going.
Yeah. Tom Schultz has had tremendous success with the 5 frame nukes
Yeah,
for his back, for the bees. It doesn't matter. It works. So
yeah.
that's what I was talking about. Find that journey of what you're looking towards. See a mentor that's around your style or anything like that, and then contact them. Like this
And
is the
even if it's not your style, learn what they're
learn from.
doing and incorporate that into what you do. You don't have
Absolutely.
to do everything they do. You
Yeah.
know,
That's 100%.
the neat thing about beekeeping is, yeah, there is a natural order to things. And no matter what your religious affiliations are or what you believe, in my humble opinion, you can't work with bees and not believe there's something bigger than us. There's
Amen to
just an order there that it's there. You can't deny it. And I when I work with my bees know that they're mine. I own them. Like a dog. If they know you're afraid of them, they're going to eventually take advantage of you. I tell my bees all the time, love you, take care of you. I'll do everything I can to keep you alive. But if you get hot, I'll take you out
that.
because I can replace you. I can,
Absolutely.
and I've got 30 grafts right now that I'm pulling out tomorrow. I'll just squish you, dispatch you with extreme prejudice, and put another one in there because I don't do hot bees.
Absolutely.
If my bees, if you don't feel comfortable working your bees, you're not going to work them. What good is that?
Yeah.
So get good bees, good genetics, good nutrition, good queens. You got a great hive. It's
Yeah.
that
Set
simple.
it up for success. Absolutely.
Now
Well,
let's
like through that, how do you like what kind of lessons have you learned through that though? Like, I mean, that's something that some people, right, especially early on in beekeeping, it's like, oh, you can't kill a bee, right? They don't understand the life cycle of bee. They don't understand a lot of things. So as we go through all this stuff, I know that for some of our audience, it's going to go over their head what you're speaking about on actually grafting queens, like creating life, right? Rearing these queens and then having them in your yard. So can you explain just a little bit about that? And then maybe some like life lessons learned from these bees? I know I have a ton of them.
wow, where to start? Let me just go here first. I know an entomologist that works for the state. He carries a fly swatter with him when he goes to his hives. There's always this one bee, always this one bee. And you can swat her away, do whatever you want. Just take her out. She's on her last legs anyhow. She's a guard bee, she's old, she's mean. And if she won't leave you alone and let her take care of your sisters, see ya. Okay. I don't mean to be callous, but I got 80 freaking hives. I'm going to be running 4 or 5 million bees this summer.
Yeah.
If it was the last bee in the hive, yeah. Just like you don't name your queens, other than you can name them all Sheila, but you have to name them all the same name.
Okay.
They are not
There's,
pets. Bees are not your pets. If you want a
there's
pet, get a cat.
so many theories around that. It's funny because we have at one of our campuses, they wanted to name them. They named them all musicians, and of course, things work out in this ebb and flow. But it's great to see different perspectives. Is like, hey man, this is our hive, and then they're newer to beekeeping, and that's what they want to do is the energy level or the excitement to be able to be involved. And then the more experienced beekeeper might be like, oh yeah, that one's rotated 8 times, that one's 3 times, that one it was never the original hive anymore.
The box has a number on it. Does that count?
That counts. That they won.
Because that really, what's the difference between rearing queens and breeding queens? Well, a lot of the things are very similar because you're doing the same mechanics to get the queen to graft and to be released into your hive. But when you start breeding them, you're taking a lot more notes. You're watching what the VP queen does when it's open mated in your area. How many frames of brood does she give me? How many frames of honey does she give me? Compared to what I get from Jason in the Buckfast or what I get from Old Soul. So unless I know what hive number that is and what queen is in there, I can't correlate any of the data. So number one is data collection.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what they are doing. And number two, the big thing is managing your drone stock. A beekeeper does not manage their drone stock or even think about it. Someone rearing queens really isn't in the position because most of the time they're selling their queens to somebody else. So the record keeping and the managing your drone stock are the keys to the breeding part. And unless I have the drones that have the alleles and the behavior and the genetics that I want to propagate, I can't breed. I'm just rearing. And I can tell you one of the most heartwarming things is when you see a hybrid that you created, when you know that a Carney and a Caucasian bred, because I've got a black bee there. I've got a solid black bee. It's a midnight. I didn't have a midnight queen. The first time I saw that was 3 years ago. I've got pictures of them, and theoretically they're all black, but these have no different colored hairs on them. It
Wow.
looks like a mud dauber color, but it's a honeybee, and it's prolific. I mean, the midnight goes back to what, the mid '60s. That was one of the, I think Van Lake might have done that cross. I can't remember exactly. But that's where all the hybridization comes in. But then I know that that bee has the VSH characteristics from both lines in it.
Interesting. Yeah. Now you're doing
So
some math.
now I just bred something that is meeting the goals that I have. I don't want to just keep bees. I want to breed bees that have a positive influence on not only my apiary, but my newbies' apiaries and all my mentees' apiaries and anybody else in the area.
So that's an important point that you bring up because oftentimes we think it's just our hives, but the bees are serving in a greater capacity. And what you're doing is, at least as I understand it, is you're breeding these bees for them to, maybe they swarm off or maybe they just don't come home, but they're going somewhere else and serving in that capacity of the VHS.
Yep. Yep.
It's pretty smart.
Well, I just read a lot and I study a lot and I follow practices that other people have proven to work. I'm not a big operation. I'm one guy. I have a few mentees that work with me on occasion, but I'm humping 80 boxes. I have to do 12 boxes a day. I have to inspect 12 boxes a day, every day, all the time during the season. If it rains, I'm doing 24. You have to be in that box every 9 days. Why? That's how long it takes to cap the queen cell. If you don't get in there before they cap that queen cell, you're too late. Bye-bye. And that all comes from, again, ROB Manley. Those little things. This is full of tricks of the trade. And you can get on Amazon. God bless Michael Palmer, because he said it was one of his favorite books. And when I read it, I was like, it changed my whole MO with working with bees. I went from being a beekeeper to concentrate on being a bee farmer. And it's made a world of difference.
And there's a distinct difference. So for those that are in the audience right now, there's a lot of different aspects of beekeeping, whether you're building nukes, whether you're building packages, whether you're on the honey side, the commercial, the sideliner, and all these components like come together. And most people aren't good at all of them. They're good at one or two of them, and they focus and they dive in. So Jim's saying he's dived into this. This is his thing, which he's become.
It's a rabbit hole.
A lot of people talk to, though. I mean, a lot of people reach out to you for advice, and then the mentorship group that you guys have as well on the queen breeding side, et cetera. I mean, that's pretty dang powerful to be able to reach out to somebody like that in an area in which you love and want to dig deeper into and actually have friends associated with that.
I pretty much have a hotline. I get calls all day, every day, just beekeepers saying, here's what I see. What do I do? What are you seeing? One of the neatest things, let me go back to Dan for a second, my second year newbie, how to do a quick Varroa mite check. So when you're getting into that hive the first year, the first of the season, and inevitably the top box is welded to the bottom box. And when you crack them apart, all you need to do is pull that top box on its end back towards you and let it stand up on its end. So now it looks like an L shape.
Okay.
I haven't messed with the brood box, and now my top box is vertical. I can see between those frames, do I have any queen cells? Is she going to swarm? I don't have to get in the brood box to know that. Chances are they're going to put those swarm cells in between the two boxes where that little void is, and you'll see it right there. And just boom, 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 take them out. But when you pull that apart, inevitably, there's some drone comb in there. And you always open drone comb. There's just larvae all over the place. Look at your larva. If that drone larva has Varroa mites in it, you have an issue. And that's where they're going to be. Yep. Because they love to brood in the drone cells. So that's the quickest, easiest way to do a mite check in the spring. You don't have to get in your bottom box. Now, when I go in the first time of the year, I basically take the whole thing apart because I want to see what I have.
Assessment.
Because I'm making notes on how many frames of brood do I have and how many nucleus colonies can I make from that. Not, gosh, can I split this in half and now have 2 hives instead of 1? No, I want 80. I want 80 of them because I want those F1 drones flying around, inseminating all the different breeds I have. So I'm running Carnies, Caucasians, and Buckfast. I get eyes for them. Then I also have, like I said, some from Joe and some from Corey. So all of those have, the Buckfast don't have as much of the VSH, but if I'm inseminating them with VSH drones, then guess what?
Yeah.
So, but the Buckfast are so gentle. They're so strong to build up in the spring. A lot of Italian characteristics. And I don't particularly like working with Italians because I find they rob too much.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And that's just my own preference. I'm sure people have Italians they love, but where I live, a lot of our area has truck crops. And it's commercially pollinated by usually Italians. That's where I see most of my mite bombs come from.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because they're going to eat everything they can. And they're going to go out and eat what you have too. And when they go in your hive and rob it out, they're taking Varroa mites with them.
Yes.
And that's where Dave and I differ. Dave will just let that hive go. I'll treat it. Because no matter how strong those alleles are and that behavior is, if I've got a whole field force coming back, bringing Varroa mites from an Italian hive, 2 miles away that some farmer brought in, then I'm going to lose that hive eventually. Yeah. Late season, they just can't make up for getting rid of the Varroa mites with behavior. because it's a mite bomb. So I'm going to sacrifice that hive? I don't think so. So I will treat it with oxalic acid if I have to. I prefer to use a pad to vapor. But I also use some things that I've learned from watching Bob Binney and Chris Warner, and a few other guys at essential oils. I have a couple. I do one a bee grease. Just put in. I made patties with Crisco, sugar, honey, white camphor, eucalyptus, tea tree, and wintergreen. Mix them all in with the Crisco, and I literally just take a little scoop and put it between some deli paper and put that on top of the brood box, and it pushes hive beetles out.
Wow.
One of my mentees said I could see the hive beetles walking out of the hive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there are ways to attack this or address it using essential oils and natural ingredients.
Yeah.
You don't have to hit them with heavy pesticides. I mean, why?
I would agree with you. Ron and Kate say, I'm loving getting all the cliff notes on this VSH genetics. That's awesome. People are getting some great stuff from you. We talked earlier off camera as well about something that I didn't know. Talk to me about this cook for box method.
Okay, so David Cook is my mentor, and I told you about meeting David, talking for basically 8 hours. He has a method where he's taking a box of bees through a 4-year period, hopefully. So box number 1 is your first year. What does that queen owe you? Nothing. She doesn't owe you any prodigy. She doesn't owe you any honey. All you have to do is keep that bee alive for the first year. Your goal is not to do anything that first year except keep those bees alive. And if you have to treat them, treat them. If you don't have to treat them, that's okay too. But your goal is to walk into March with a box of bees. Now, year number 2, she owes you 1 queen, 2 if you can get it, and a box of honey. That's all she owes you. Okay? You got your box of honey. You can do a split now, can't you? And that's where you do that check where you put the top hive on its end in the L shape, and you do a quick inspection. That's part of David Cook's method. Year number 3, the same basically as year number 2, but if she's that good, graft from her.
Okay.
And the fourth box is the 4th year. She's around the 4th year. Retire her. Don't try to pull any honey off of her. Make sure you just love her up and give her all the flowers she wants. Take her out for dinner if you want to, but you definitely want to graft from that queen. If she lives 4 years and she's still putting out viable eggs, you want those genetics in your yard. That's a simplistic version. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'll make available to you that everybody can go on and read through and follow the Cook 4-box method. It works. I swear by it. It's so easy. He broke it down into an easy, manageable system.
Yeah. And now we have a couple things because now Candy says it would be great if someone could put that recipe on here. So that recipe that you just did for the small hive beetles as well. We got 2 things to put on there already.
I will, but all you have to do is go to, if you go to YouTube and search for bee grease, like it sounds, bee grease. There's several different recipes. And I'm sorry, the name escapes me, the fellow I first saw it from. It'll come to me. But I saw last week, a guy took a manual grease gun and he loaded bee grease in it. And he just squirts it across. Yes. You don't think I have one ordered?
Oh, it works. I mean, that works.
You don't think I'll have a grease gun in my pickup truck next weekend?
That is awesome.
Because I don't have to mess with I have to mess with the patties.
I mean,
the other neat thing I saw was this guy actually took the bee grease and he has a paintbrush and he will paint the rim of his boxes before he puts them back on. So they come apart more easily.
Oh, that's true too. Yeah. All these tips and tricks. If you're not listening on this one, man, there's a lot of them. This is great because you're a wealth of knowledge and clearly you love being able to.
I'm telling you, ROB Manly.
The book.
Go to Rob. One of his things. Okay, when you're doing he swears that you don't have to do a newspaper combine. What? You can't put two boxes together. The hell you say? His trick is to smoke the crap out of them. Okay, so now they don't have the alarm pheromone, and they're not sure who's who right now. And then you put everything back together, and before you walk away, I use bricks on top of my hives to tell me queen right, queen list, come back to this next week. I'll take that brick and I'll slam it on top of a hive. What happens when you slam a hive full of bees? And then when they settle down, they forgot what they were mad about. And who are you? It all goes away. That's one of his methods.
Yeah.
Slam a hive.
I mean, it works. So I'm saying there's a billion ways to beekeep. I mean, it's wonderful to see this. And a lot of people do experiments. They're like, okay, I don't want to necessarily do that with all my hives, but let me try it. Like, that's pretty cool.
And I would say avidly, try it, no matter how stupid you think it is. One of the girls I worked with 2 years ago had black mechanics gloves. And every time she worked her hives, so what do you think happened? They were all over those black gloves. I use orange nitrile from Amazon, 8 mil. They can sting through them, but rarely do. But she said, "Do you think it's my gloves?" You think? Here, put these over your gloves to see what happens. That's why you don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have a black bee suit?
No, I'm not that cocky. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said yours are pretty gentle and calm down here in Texas. Of course, it's a little bit different depending on your areas, but it's just great information to know for those that are listening. Like, bees are different everywhere. They have different temperaments. Your yards are different. Your foliage is different. The resources are different. The weather's different. So just be patient with yourself and be patient with the bees as well, and just continue to learn. That's one of the things that I love about beekeeping. It's a lifelong learning hobby or business, if that's what you want to make out of it. But it's really your journey. It's whatever you choose to do. And we're just here to provide resources and a backstop for you to be successful. Jim, you've served a lot in our country, right? What have you seen and how has that shifted, maybe is a better question. What does service mean to you today through the bees or beyond that? Because you serve a ton in bees, but what else is there about the service aspect of you now?
I've worked for I worked for a large corporation for 20 years as a food scientist and research chef. And I did a lot of testing, a lot of science stuff. I missed that. But as I was getting ready to retire, one of my managers came to me and he said, "So you've had really good success." He said, "Is it the products you've developed, the learnings you've had from the science you've done, or is it the people you've touched?" Damn, here I've been busting my hump for 20 years thinking my goal has been to make things and make money and make good things, but the unintended consequence, all those people you touch. I get to do that here. It's what started me with you. I called you, gosh, it's over 3 years ago now. My closest friend in the world is a retired 3-star. He couldn't afford his second semester University of Delaware pre-med and went to an Air Force recruiter and took a test and scored in the top 1%. Yeah, because he has a photographic memory. He's just a brilliant guy. And they said, "You can go anywhere you want. What do you want to do?" He said, "What's the longest training you have so I don't have to move around a lot?" So he was working at missile silos down in Arkansas, top security clearance. He got married at 19, moved his bride down there. And the thing that always stuck with me, he had no money. He didn't make any money. She was working in a garment factory. They would go to Sears on Friday night and play Pong demo. And when somebody came by to look at the game, they would step away and let the person do it. But he had no money. he anyway, he worked hard, and while he was down in the silos, he studied industrial engineering and took CLEP test and got a degree in industrial engineering. Then got a master's in industrial engineering and got into computer science. And then almost finished his PhD in computer science, but he said he wasn't going to make any more money if he got it, and he already had the job he wanted. And at that time, he was senior vice president of infrastructure for Bank of America. So he basically ran their whole international computer. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah.
But his side gig, I think he did 10 years active duty, and then he went reserves. So he had 30 years reserves. And he would go to the Air Force Base in Newcastle County. It was tied in with Fort Meade, and he was one of the original guys in Cyber Command. So when those lights flickered in Iraq the first time, he's a dude that hit enter.
It's incredible. I love the story.
So he went from having nothing, and that's why I do this.
That's that brother love that I mean, we've had, of course, a lot of conversations, and that's that brother love that you guys are, so close and so connected. And your way of giving back is to be able to serve his brothers and sisters. And you do a unbelievable job of doing that. And I thank you for that. And you have more impact than you probably believe you do. But as it continues to get out through the network and, of course, courses and things of that nature, it's just so amazing that you can be, vulnerable and understand, like, this shit matters. Like it matters a lot. And one person can make such a huge difference in somebody else's life or multiple lives. But that one-to-one connection of understanding where we come from, who we are, we're humans together, and we're just fighting this battle together, right? And we get to do it through bees. That's pretty dang beautiful. And I've been able to meet people all over the country that I never would have met without this organization, to include you.
We all do what we can.
Yeah, you do. And so a little bit of follow on in Delaware. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know the audience will be grateful for that as well, because it's not easy to share very, very personal things in a public environment, but I very much appreciate that. So as you're in Delaware, right, things are continuing to ramp up in Delaware. What are the state level efforts?
Every newbie in Delaware has a mentor.
Boom. 100%. 100%.
I just picked up two. But one of them's in Maryland. One's in Maryland. So
how is that? How do you think that's going to transition in your state? You have a beautiful state. We have state leaders all over the country, of course. How does that transition with your state? What are some maybe lessons learned that you've seen? Apparently, my shirt is too tight, but I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It just is what it is. It's a large, believe that or not, but it is what it is. So what are those efforts for you on the Delaware side? See, King Bee right there, crown. They're making fun of my shirt, and that's all right. We got things to do here. The things that are going on in the state, what do you see positive going on there? Because there's a lot of activity now, and I know you're leading that charge, and you're bringing somebody else with you as well to take over the leadership role. What does that look like for you?
So my newbie is going to take over as a state lead next year. When we first talked, I committed to you to start Delaware, get it up and running. But I think it's important that a veteran is a state lead. And I will continue to support him and you after that. So I'm spending this year now getting him to become a bee farmer, and he'll be grafting very soon. But he will take over reins of that, and we're going to be going up to Dover Air Force Base and also Newcastle County, and we'll set up a table. We'll meet folks. We'll pass out pamphlets. We'll press some skin. We'll tell them what we do. I don't know if they'll let me take bees on base. We'll see.
We'll figure it out.
Well, I'm going to call a 3-star and ask for if he can get some orders. But it's all about getting the exposure out there. Now, I do know my newbie on Sunday said he had 3 other folks that want to join the group, and he's already given them stuff to start reading. And he said, we'll get to you. So, I mean, it's just, I would say we're probably going to double or triple next year.
I would agree with that and even on a national level, we continue to grow in numbers, and we don't share numbers a lot. I'm telling you, it's a lot of people, a lot of interested people that want to learn this, and they're seeing things, whether that's on national media or different coverages and stuff. But it's a beautiful thing that the visibility is getting there, because people didn't know all the work that went in behind the scenes, right? Just like a bee. You don't need credit. You don't need any of that stuff. The work takes care of itself, and you see the fruits of that through all the amazing people that we get to talk to throughout the country. And that's been phenomenal. And that's just, one layer after one layer after one layer after one layer of a person reaching out to another person. Just be another person. I mean, it's so simple. This entire organization is built around connection, helping us find purpose bigger than ourselves, building those relationships and serving others. And so you serve on a consistent level. You're paying it forward, not only in your time and the talent that you have, but also the treasure that you have of giving away assets. I mean, you do this a lot, and you've done it for the state. You do it for us.
Look what you've done. Look where you started. Look at your story. Everybody has
one. Just takes one.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing about this. I mean, I'm looking at in the chat and the people that we know and love. I mean, brothers and sisters. I mean, it's just family. At this point, it's incredible to see. And then you see our state leaders going out and doing incredible stuff. I mean, you can name after name after name of people that are doing things inside of their states. And then when they get resources there and it's needed somewhere else, we deliver it, right? How crazy is it to see that we can serve in all sorts of capacities all over the United States because of this little creature that we love and nerd out on.
And I would add, don't overthink it. Usually they aren't as far advanced as we think they are. We overthink the whole thing. They're going to do what they've done for millions of years.
Yeah.
Okay, in spite of us. And every time you open that box, you set them back. Don't think that when you open that box, you're doing them a favor. You're doing yourself a favor.
Right.
You're making yourself feel better because you have time, energy, and resources invested, and you don't want them to fly off somewhere. I have one of the guys I work with. It was real funny. Last week, he lost a swarm last year, and he's determined not to do that this year. And he said that he was looking through his binoculars last week, and one of his farming neighbors has what looks like a swarm box in one of his fields, about half a mile away from his apiary. He said, that guy's trying to steal my bees. I said, are you sure it wasn't like an owl box? He said, looks like a swarm box. I said, do you have a long gun? He said, yeah. I said, what? So why don't you just scope it? And I bet if you put a couple place shots just right, that thing will fall out of that tree. Just saying, I'm not telling him to cause anything, do anything bad, but just scope it.
Just ingenuity, okay? Use the tools that you have.
Yeah.
And it's great that you're on, because again, people that come on here on the Connect and Serve have different perspectives. And again, that's that piece of find the nuggets that you like as a person, as a beekeeper, as whatever that looks like, because you'll find those things that really motivate you. And maybe you're not like Jim, who goes and does the queen side, but maybe you really love honey production, right? Maybe you really love going and building nukes because you like seeing the new life and building a business off of that. All that is great. Just find those people that are around your areas. You got a ton of them on Facebook group page. Literally throw it out there and be like, hey, I'm looking to learn this. I guarantee you people will roger up their experiences like Jim does as well. And I mean,
a beekeeper that doesn't want to talk about bees, they're not a beekeeper. I'm sorry. I mean, we all have friends that are like, oh God, here he comes again.
Oh yeah. But you gotta give them the sweet treats, because they do enjoy that piece.
Well, there's an old saying in the restaurant business that food makes friends and liquor makes money. So if you got some honey, it goes a long way.
Yeah, no kidding. So what are your future steps with Hives for Heroes are still incredible, because you're putting us in a position there in Delaware to really continue the connection aspect, of course, but like you said, building these deeper relationships, and you're passing on your knowledge and experience free of charge because you care. I mean, that's kind of the mantra of the organization is there is no expectation of return. The return is you doing well, you doing good things, you being a better dad, you being
is your newbies doing well?
Is your newbie doing well? Is who we're responsible for doing well? And that's an incredible component. It doesn't come back to like, oh, look at what we did. No, look at what we did.
It's not about Steve and it's not about Jim. It's about bringing those newbies along and giving them that sense of mission. And if you have any type of anxiousness and you just listen to those little critters, it's just so soothing. And you can tell their demeanor by the frequency they're emitting. And one other trick, before you get in your hive, always observe your landing board before you do your inspections. Watch what they're bringing in. How many are coming in and out with pollen? Count them, how many per minute. Then you'll be able to see how much she's putting out. More pollen, the more babies. Are they bumping their butt on the landing board when they're coming in? If they thud, they're bringing back nectar. So before you even get in that hive, observe that landing board and watch where they're landing and going in. That's where the queen is. So when you do your inspection, you already know where she is.
Again, I mean, Ron just said, where else would you get a master class each month like this? I mean, you're talking about years and years and years of experience just put right onto the platform.
I didn't finish the master's class. I got to the advanced part, and I went down the rabbit hole into the queen thing.
Oh man, you got to eat this stuff up. No, he's saying you're putting on a master class.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, I'm just a bee farmer.
Hey, we're at that time right now. If you can type in, we're going to change the word today to see if you're paying attention. Type in queen in the chat, and we're going to be giving away the 2 $100 gift cards to the supply store of your choice. So we got 2 of those. Type in queen in the chat to be available for that, and Nilo will take care of that. Jim, how many? What other following on thoughts do you have? Like, just how would you like to close this out? You have a tremendous amount of knowledge. Maybe it's some huge lesson learned or advice or encouragement. How would you like to close out tonight?
Don't settle for hot bees. Think about all the money and time and resources you already have tied up in that box. To spend another $45, $50, $60 to have a hive that gives you 3 boxes of honey versus 1 pays for itself. And when you start dealing with those F1 queens instead of what Joey down the street has, they're pretty and they look good and they fill a box, but are they sensitive to Varroa? Are they going to overwinter for you? Are they going to be gentle? And let me say it again. If you do not feel comfortable working your bees, you are not going to work your bees. You'll put it off, and then you'll have an oh crap moment when they're not there anymore.
Yep.
So spend that little bit extra money, get yourself a quality queen from a quality supplier, a queen rearer, but do your research in your area. Do you want a Carney? Do you want a Caucasian? Do you want an Italian? I don't recommend Russians unless you want to get torn up. Okay, and there's no in between. They are always a candidate for a bucket of soapy water. Okay, and that's the easiest way to take care of that. But do your research. Get a queen that will thrive in your area. If you want them to overwinter where it is cold, then get a mountain bee because they're used to flying when it's 40 and wet. Don't put an Italian in there because they will freeze to death and they'll eat everything all around. But do your research and choose a quality queen to anchor your operation. That's the most important thing you've got. So that's what I'll leave you with.
That's awesome. Well, we want to thank you so much for not only being a mentor in Hives for Heroes and serving so many in that capacity, but now clearly a master class instructor as well, and
Flattery will get you everywhere.
a damn good friend. So we appreciate you. We're grateful that you were able to come out here. How would anybody get a hold of you if they would like to get a hold of you, Jim?
Through the Hives for Heroes.
There you go. So Jim is a state leader at
DE at hivesforheroes.org.
Yeah, that's one more.
I'll answer it. I'll probably call you. I don't mind talking about bees. While we're here, Steve, so as I transition this year to get Dan to take over as state lead, let's start looking at moving some energy towards Washington, D.C.
There you go.
We have about 2 hours from there. I'm sure that the guys in Maryland, Virginia, we could all pull resources to try to do some what we used to call dog and pony shows, with bee shows, with some of the groups over there, and let them see what we can do to help.
Absolutely. We are here for that, for those reasons, right? We're protecting each other, serving the planet, and then hopefully with that Heroes honey, being able to get real, raw American honey to our general population, because it's important. These things are important. What you're a part of, everybody on this channel right now, is literally leading the industry. You are doing great things. It seems like maybe you're only doing one or two things, but that is what the summation of everything does, and what we look like as an organization moving forward with the things that we're doing in order to serve our brothers and sisters. Jim, again, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was great. So Jim Hopkins, Delaware, you can contact him at de@hivesforheroes.org. Clearly, he knows a lot about queens, but he's an incredible person, most importantly, and he will talk your ear off about anything. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience, and he genuinely cares. So our two recipients for today is Nicholas Hamlin and Barley Moon Bonteclair, I think is how you say it. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. So we have Nicholas Hamlin and Barley Moon Bonteclair. So please email support@hivesforheroes.org. And that's literally what happens when you just show up, right? Show up, enjoy a conversation with some incredible people. And we'll be having more and more people on a monthly level that are coming in here as well. And for our last few minutes, we have two of our state leaders that are on the call today as well. And we just like to get a quick spring update, maybe any events that are going on in your area as well. So we have Matt Booth and Alden Reed joining the conversation. Thanks for being here, gents. All right.
I hear you announcing it, and I had to run back and find my phone.
There you go. Hey, what's going on in your area, and do you have any events that are upcoming?
For events, the Georgia Beekeepers Association is having their Jamber Bee barbecue. They moved from having a spring conference and fall conference to now they're doing a big old barbecue hangout in the spring and then the fall conference as usual. So Jamber Bee is coming up in 2 weekends, I think it is.
Right.
I unfortunately will be missing it because we had a bunch of family things going on and I had to move a bunch of stuff around in my calendar. So I will be missing it. If somebody else would like to go, I have a paid spot and actually 2 paid spots and I think 2 paid kid spots. So
sounds like a family outing.
It was supposed to be.
That was literally the intent.
Yep. So that'll be going on. Outside of that, we've had, as with most of this kind of area, we've had a couple rainstorms roll through. So today was like the first day we didn't have rain in a while. Noticed that the tulip poplars up here in North Georgia are starting to kick in because I can see the petals starting to show up on the ground. So that's like up in Georgia mountains. That's probably the majority of our, that's our big flow.
Okay.
For where I'm at. So that's kicking off. Packages that were delayed for most of the country this year. Just packages and nukes were kind of delayed. So they started being released out to pick up starting about last week and a half, continuing on through like the next week and a half. So if you wanted bees and you didn't order them, reach out to your local supplier. They might have some extras that you might be able to pick up in the next week or two. Or just show up and see if somebody didn't pick up packages that was supposed to, and see if you can pick them up for them and just pay for them. So,
That's awesome. Yeah, spring is here. Like we were talking about earlier, spring is here. Things are going to be booming. If you're behind the curve, don't freak out. Just ask questions. We can definitely support you through that process.
Nature was behind the curve this year, so.
And what was one more time the event? The Jamber Bee.
Jamber Bee. Yeah, you can go to Georgia Beekeepers Association website. They got stuff on there. Probably their Facebook too. I know they're sending out emails. If you remember the Georgia Beekeepers Association, look in your email folder and see what's there. If you're from one of the surrounding states, you just want to come down and hang around with some beekeepers. Roll in. I believe it's like right in the middle of the state.
There you go. In the center and around. Come one, come all. Join it. I'm sure you'll see people with Hives for Heroes shirts on out there as well, and you make an instant friend, guaranteed. Thanks, Alden, man. I appreciate you.
Yep.
Matt, how's it going, sir, from North Carolina?
Pretty good. Staying busy. We finally got some rain yesterday. I know Alden said it's been raining down there a bunch, and north of us in Kentucky and Tennessee, but we haven't been getting it, unfortunately. So just got a little bit yesterday. Some kind of what Alden said, honey flow started. As far as events, really don't have too much as far as official events. NC State with Dr. Tarpey has a couple queen grafting classes coming up that he's putting on in support of Western North Carolina support, just trying to get the bee numbers back up out there. As you're well aware, but for everybody else, Hives for Heroes, we didn't do a ton, but I have a bunch of equipment that we're bringing out there. The 5 nukes are being picked up from Hooper's Creek here on the 19th for some of our heroes out west. And then our local club, we're looking at bringing out about 20 hives in end of May to help support out there that we're donating.
Yeah, it's great that we're kind of plugged into a lot of places because your ear to the ground is able to see where the need is, and then with the disaster relief fund and some other funds that we're able to put together, we can provide those to our veterans and first responders that are all out in those needed areas. So hey, we appreciate all the stuff that you do. Also on the accessibility side, do you have any updates on accessibility?
Just working with little things here and there that have popped up. Still working on getting the keeper's hive that I purchased after testing the one last year, trying to get that out in the yard once I get it all put together and running. Did just talk to another newbie that just came on board. He's actually a veteran and then now working in the one of the local jails as a chaplain. And he has a bunch of background into PTSD and has started beekeeping as a newbie and really wants to get on the ground running with us, helping on that side. So,
yeah, it's awesome. The tremendous amount of support, resources, and things like that. I will share an update as well. We will be updating the website. It is going to be more of a platform feel, and you'll see that here in the future. We will roll that out. But just as you see changes and things, we want to make sure that you have the information necessary for your success. Of course, thanks, Matt, as you do so much work out there in North Carolina as well. Awesome. If you found any value in today's conversation, like, follow, comment, and share this video, please. Help us spread the word and support the mission. You can also shop Heroes Honey and check out our cool gear and swag like this apparently too tight shirt at hivesforheroes.org. Every purchase supports our mission and expands our impact. So to every single member of this community, thank you. Truly, thank you. You are out there one-on-one one hive at a time, changing lives and saving lives. Because of your efforts, we've built a powerful, resilient national network that's truly making a difference. As a leadership team on our side, we are committed to working tirelessly on your behalf to advocate, to build, to connect, and to serve. So until we see you next month, second Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Until then, keep showing up, keep connecting, and keep serving. Thank you for being here.